side bill. Senator Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I hadn't planned on getting up on this particular piece of legislation, but just listening and thinking about where we are as far as the status of the pandemic and the current operation of the Connecticut General Assembly, I thought it was worthwhile for me to get up just for a couple of minutes and express some concern over the desire of this body to continue operating kind of in a hybrid way where we are simultaneously operating as a full legislature. I was at a public hearing for a committee this morning, and as far as I know, all of the legislative committees are operating. In fact, many of them are actually operating inside the legislative office building today and in the previous month or so, which leads me to wonder what the need would be for the continuation of any executive orders issued by the governor. It's also interesting that we were just here a month or so ago discussing the governor's desire not to continue the state of emergency and instead leaving that in the hands of the legislature. And of course, we recall that that state of emergency passed on a party line with many folks on the Republican side, including myself, standing up in opposition for the same reason I stand here before this chamber today, which is to say, we've got to make up our mind, Mr. President. We have to decide whether or not there actually is a pandemic and whether or not the people that we represent in the state of Connecticut deserve their government back, whether they deserve a government of, for, and by the people. And I will just say that one of the greatest concerns that has come my way over the last couple of years that we've been operating in this world of states of emergencies and executive orders and Zoom meetings and things like that is the fact that we are slowly but surely creeping away from the American system of government. To me, our duty, more than any other thing, is to be in direct contact with our constituents, to understand their needs and desires, and to represent them fully, and also to make sure that they have access to us so that we can be held accountable to their wishes. And what concerns me, Mr. President, is that each time this body gets together and puts forward legislation like what is before us today, we are, in effect, separating the people from their government. There is a process that we use to pass laws here in Connecticut, and that is the process by which individual legislators put legislation before this legislative body, and those bill proposals are forwarded to committees that have cognizance over those respective issues, and those bills are put forward before the public for a hearing so that the public can come to us and state on the record whether or not they think this is good policy or not. And we are doing that every day in this legislature. As far as I know, every one of the legislative committees has had public hearings on bills proposed by legislators this year. So it makes me wonder why we would continue to operate our government in this manner, where we simultaneously have bills going through committee and we also have executive orders coming from the governor. If these were good policies, then they should have gone through the process. These policies, and I think some of these policies actually have been introduced in the actual process. Yet, we're here to vote to grant the governor more unilateral authority to extend policy in the state of Connecticut. A governor who did not want to declare an extension of his own emergency powers. And we're in a legislature that believes, at least the majority does, that we are in a state of emergency, while simultaneously taking instructions from the governor and not making policy for themselves through the process. I don't want to belabor this much more, Mr. President. I just wanted to be on the record today stating that we need to return to our American system. Our system where the people actually hold the control over what we do in this chamber and in the House of Representatives, and not a system where the governor arbitrarily decides on any given day whether or not we're in an emergency and whether or not he wants to make policy for the state as a result. This is going on 2.5 years now, I think, that we've been kind of, dragged along. Well, it's only going to be a couple more months. Let's extend it here. Well, we're going to extend it for 30 days. We're going to extend it for 2 months. It's only till April 15th. And now we're being asked to extend these powers once again and these emergency executive orders through the end of June in the bill before us. If these are good bills, then they should be before the committees in this legislature. They should have public hearings, and people should be able to come and comment on them. And then they should go through the committee process where they are vetted properly. The input from the people is taken into consideration. They should be voted out of committee. They should be transferred through various committees that are necessary for a bill to become a law in this state. And then they should be voted on properly. We should not be making policy like this. I'll just say a final word, which is, this is not the only example of this type of thing happening. The extension of Zoom public hearings and committee meetings, I think, was a good one, as long as it maintains a requirement for the legislative committees to meet in person as well. And so far that hasn't happened. I know that there are people voluntarily coming to the legislative office building to participate in committee meetings to show that we can, and that is the right way to do things. And I think they're doing it largely because they want to show their own constituents they want to do their job the right way. We need to return to doing our job the right way. Mr. President, this is not it.